When is his birthday? April. So a little bit of time, but I think it's good for him to finish her with yeah. We'll have his hours. Sure. You want me to knock out 3 of them? How many do you? 90? 45? Okay. Exactly 90 for me.
Almost. We're both running late.
26.
We're both running late. No problem.
I don't want to go too much.
You can borrow, do we?
It's a project, but I might even suggest Don. How do you and I can see that come back up and walk it again. We're going to get a sense for each of the project.
No, no, sorry, vice chair. Just like. Things are still the same.
Would it be possible for us to all speak very loudly so we can keep it on?
It's because of the recording. I mean, if you want to shout, but I think it compromises the recording. Yeah. It does. Is it starting? We all survived before it. Take a break in an hour and crank it for 10 minutes.
to welcome everybody to the Select Board regular meeting this evening, September 6th, starting at 6 p.m. here in the Bethel Town office. And if you haven't signed in, we welcome you to sign in. Maybe we could pass the clipboard around if you haven't. And there are copies of agendas up there for you as well to follow along with. We do have a quorum here this evening. The chair is absent, and in place of when the chair is absent, the vice chair is the acting chair to facilitate the meeting. And we've called the meeting to order, and we will do the flag salute. And if you join me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're coming up on the public comment section. And before we start that section, I just wanted to take a moment and answer a question that Mr. W.H.A.T actually had and Mr. Everett had at one of our meetings in August. And their question was, how is the public supposed to act at a meeting? So just very, very briefly, and this information comes from, it's just a broad stroke, from our Officer Guidebook manual from Maine Municipal Association, and of course with statutes and our code. So the public proceedings are covered by Maine statute, the Freedom of Access Act. And it's also known as FOIA, right to know, open meeting. And it's there in part to make sure that the people's business, your business, is carried out in the open. As far as public participation is concerned, the public has a right to attend the select board meetings. But it doesn't have a right to participate unless the board allows participation, or unless it's a meeting like a public hearing. And we'll have a couple of those this evening. And I really want to thank, W.H.A.T and your town got the equipment so that we can expand the viewing to other citizens while we have our meetings. So in most municipalities, Bethel included, the public is allowed to speak on business being conducted or on town affairs. And this is allowed as a courtesy and can be limited as the board sees fit. And then there are certain meetings that are closed by statute where the public is not allowed to attend, and that's like an executive session. You may also see, as we conduct our business, that we would interact with some groups or persons as an agenda item may pertain to. And you'll see some of that this evening as well. But because the board desires to hear viewpoints from the public, yet needs to conduct its business in an orderly and efficient manner, we do set aside time for public comment at our regular meetings. In the future, we may formalize this a little bit more, but as of today, this is typically how we practice, is that during the public comment period, if you would like to share a comment with us, if you would please raise your hand and state your name, the town that you're from, and proceed with your comment. Usually during the public comment period, people comment on items that are not necessarily on the agenda. But if you do have a comment that pertains to one of the agenda items, what we may do is we may ask you to state that comment at that time before we deliberate our business. So that will continue forward, and it is the public comment time in the agenda. Does anybody have a comment they'd like to share with us? Candace?
I understand that there have been 2 last-minute executive sessions for personnel matters being added to the agenda for tonight. It would seem that such a sensitive and critical matter, something to do with personnel, should be done with the presence of the whole board and shouldn't be a last-minute drop-in. So my suggestion would be that those 2 items be tabled or postponed until the next meeting when you have the full board.
Thank you. Our 5th member is aware of one of the proceedings. Thank you for your
but
comment.
not present to participate in vote was what my feeling was.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes?
Hi, my name's Marcia. I live here in Bethel. Many of you are probably familiar with me. But I would like to say that regarding public comment at meetings, as the last select board meeting clearly demonstrated, when members of the select board themselves were not only unaware of what noise ordinances affected the town, but also some of them went so far as to misinform the others. I think that if the board was not able to fully prepare for that meeting, there is no way that the public could be expected to prepare for such a meeting in advance. And I noticed while there are several liquor license renewals on the agenda tonight, where you have the business name and then the DBA doing business name included, that was not the case at the last select board meeting. And again, things like that just happen, things that come up that the general public cannot be expected to educate themselves about in advance, and therefore, I think that limiting public comment and questions to the beginning is doing a disservice to the principle that democracy thrives in the light. If you folks have something to talk about regarding these issues, you should be talking about it in front of us, and then that might generate comments and questions in the public that you are supposed to be representing. And if you're not willing to hear them, how can you claim to represent them? If you are not willing to read letters that are hand-delivered to you, how can you claim to care about what the people in your town care about, because you are deliberately keeping yourselves ignorant of those matters? And I personally do not feel that that serves democracy, and I would therefore like a rule. While we are governed by the state rules, we all know we are allowed to have local ordinances. And I would like to have several rules added. One of them includes that there be public question and comment before every non-procedural agenda item. You want to approve the minutes? Go nuts. We don't need to talk about that. The other is that all meetings be recorded digitally, because many people watch these meetings on the live stream, and as we saw last week when both the board's unawareness of the noise ordinances, the town CEO and code enforcement officer suggestion that a business be forced to do a noise audit before its liquor license renewal application was approved, and that the board wait before voting until the results of that noise ordinance were in, and the town manager saying that, you know what, and if you guys, you have 60 days to make up your mind, and if you make no decision at the end of it, it gets approved anyway. So there was no harm in waiting. And then my asking the question, do you folks have to act as a simple rubber stamp when someone applies a renewal, or do you get to actually exercise the executive authority that you were elected to do and impose terms and conditions that reflect changes in the environment in which the business is doing its operating? So you folks didn't answer that question. The live stream didn't show any of that. Immediately before I got thrown out for asking the question about the rubber stamp, the live stream cut out as soon as you folks didn't know what you were doing. And then the next time it cut in, Meryl was saying, okay, and so can I get a vote on this liquor license renewal? And you all voted unanimously to, despite having not answered that question, ignore the suggestions from the town CEO and approve the liquor license on the spot, despite the fact that if you sat on your hands and did nothing for 60 days, it would automatically be renewed as written. So I think democracy thrives in the light, and we need to have these things recorded in hard copy, and the hard copy needs to be uploaded within an hour. Because the people who attended the meeting last month on the 16th, they saw a very different meeting than the people who watched the live stream, and they might have different thoughts about your decisions as representatives of the people of this community. So I would like both of those things officially added to the record as a citizen request, and I think they are simple, good governance, shine a light. You can't do anything down in the shadows if someone's shining a light, and you can't do it on the down low if I'm shouting it from the rooftops, and if it's being broadcast, and if any misleading broadcasts with convenient gaps in the footage are up there, they get taken down and replaced with the full story within 24 hours, so misinformation can't continue to thrive. That's it. I don't have anything else to say. Thank you.
Thank you for the information. Thank you for your comments. That was recorded.
Yes, it was.
Okay, any more comments?
Yes, I just have a comment that I want to make about your special meeting on the 22nd of August. I believe that may have been an illegal executive session, because what was in the notes that was presented when you came out was you guys voted to appoint somebody to do the recruitment for the town manager's position. If you were just looking at that kind of situation as who you wanted to go with, that should have been done in the public, so the town was aware of who you were out there looking at, who you were thinking about approaching to help you recruit. Because somebody in the town may have had other suggestions for other recruitment agencies from the past. Just an idea, because I know that when I was sitting up there, I was always being told that we were doing illegal executive sessions. And Madam Chair, you yourself, and I'm going to echo what Kansas said about the 2 executive sessions you want to put on tonight's meeting. You yourself, when you were a board member, prior to your reappointment this time, we had an executive session that was not publicized on the agenda prior to the meeting, and you said it was illegal, and you excused yourself from that executive session. So, same idea as what's going on tonight, where you wanted to add executive sessions to the agenda.
Thank you, Lloyd. Minutes for that, August 22nd minutes. Anyone else have comments? Let me just see, does anybody else have comments before we go to? Okay, do you have anything different to say than what you said before?
Just a quick add-on to Lloyd's, when he was saying it was in a legal session, and it sounds to me, I just want to make clear for the record, I think the distinguishing feature is you weren't talking about an individual and a person's pros and cons. You were essentially conducting administrative work rather than personnel work. And administrative work is supposed to be done in the public at these meetings when you meet in front of us and talk publicly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That was it.
Anybody else? Does anybody have any comments on a particular agenda item at this time? Hearing none, we'll continue forward for adjustments to the agenda. We have some items that wish to be added. We have there's a supplemental piece here. The first one is to see if the board will vote to adopt the update general assistance ordinance and or appendices. Would the board like to add this to the agenda?
Make a motion that we add to the agenda.
Okay, any further discussion on it? All those in favor? It's unanimous, the motion carries, and that is to be 11G. Second is to see if the board will vote to approve the ice rink at the Ethel Bisbee lot. Would the board like to add this as an agenda item?
I think this probably should be tabled.
I need a decision because CMP requires advance notice to be able to electricity work.
Do we get to ask why he wants it tabled?
Not at this time.
Okay. But we didn't know he was going to table it before.
We're conducting the business of the people at this time, and we're deliberating, so we ask that you please hold your comments.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks.
I think make a motion that we, to see if the board will vote to approve the ice rink at the Ethel Bisbee lot.
Okay, we have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor? All those opposed? The motion carries 3-1. And that's 11H. Thank you. Yes,
I think according to town code, it has to be a unanimous vote to
You are correct. Yes, you are. It does need to be, an agenda item needs to be a unanimous vote.
And you had one against it, so it can't be added.
I'm sorry? That's correct. Thank you for that correction. Yes, according to our code, it needs to be a unanimous vote to be added to the agenda. So that motion fails, and it will not be added to the agenda.
I do have a question. How is it that the public knows about 2 executive sessions and I have nothing anywhere telling me there's any executive session tonight?
I was discussing with Jess about writing up a new supplement to the agenda, and it's overheard,
But how does the public know it and we don't?
because she was in the room when I was discussing typing up a new supplement to the agenda.
Who is she?
Candace,
And she's not the only one that brought it up.
Lori told Candace to mention it.
Yeah, that's why I got from the meeting tonight when I heard her bring it up, so that's why I heard
Okay,
concerns.
right. So, yeah, thanks, Pat.
Did we all know that it had to be unanimous in order for it to pass, or to, in order for an agenda? Does that?
That's in our code. That's in our code. Okay, so, do you have a third item, an executive session? Let's see. One executive session to, go into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A to discuss a personnel matter. This one we would take at 7 PM, and we would take a break from the meeting, hold the session, and then come back to the meeting. Is there a motion?
I make a motion, we're going to the executive at 7 PM.
A second.
Okay. Is there any discussion, further discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor? All right, it's unanimous, the motion carries. I'll watch the clock for 7 PM. Do you have a request for a second executive session? This one would be executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A to discuss a personnel matter. We can do this one at the end, after select board items and before adjournment. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we go into executive session for pursuant the, what you just said, after, at the end.
So is that 12E, or is that going to be
That's gonna be the,
1H,
that would be the new,
or 11J?
the new 14, and put adjourn as 15. Okay, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? And, no nays, and the motion carries. Okay. Do I have any other items? Hearing none, we'll continue on. Don't know. Yeah, probably not.
Do you have to wait until, like, you guys are doing, I'm sorry, I will leave the meeting after this because you're gonna kick me out if I don't go now, because I just can't keep watching this, but you guys are so intent on doing things on the down low. Like, I'm looking at this thing, like, first of all, the thing that he voted to table costs $12. Dude, you're also you voted against scholarships for attending Bryant Pond Nature Camp last week too. You
Ma'am.
just, oh.
So we're gonna continue forward, and we have public hearings now. So the first public hearing is a public hearing for the liquor license for Philbrook Foods, DBA doing business as Waterdale Wood Fire Kitchen. This is a new liquor license, and the address is on Philbrook Street, 11 Philbrook Street. And we also do have the proprietors here. Welcome. And so I open the public hearing for comments. Mr. Mitchell?
Hi, I'm Phil Getchell, I live nearby, I'm excited that they're getting ready to open and I support the liquor license. I just had one question. I understand the liquor license is not for takeaway liquor, right? It's only for on premises. You can't buy it. Okay, thank you.
We could apply for that, but we're not.
And
applying
forgive
for
me if
that.
I shouldn't be addressing them directly, if that's not okay, let me know. But
Yeah, we can address the board, but it's.
my question would
it's
be
okay.
that it's limited to on premises. Thank you very much.
And you all responded to this question.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Okay, hearing none, I will close the public hearing for the Philbrook Foods DBA Watershed Wood Fire Kitchen. We will be acting on this a little bit later in the agenda. Thank you. We have another public hearing, and this public hearing is for the General Assistance Ordinance adoption. And we'll open it up for any public comments.
Is this the annual adjustment based on what the comes out of legislature thing?
Any other public comments? Well, hearing none, we will close the public hearing for the General Assistance Ordinance adoption. There'll be action later on that in the agenda as well. Our third public hearing for this evening is for the adoption of the General Assistance Maximum. We open that up for any public comment. Okay, seeing no hands and no comments, we will close that public hearing for General Assistance Maximums, and we will be taking that action later on in the agenda. Thank you. All right, continuing forward, we have action on the minutes. The first one is to see if the board will vote to approve the minutes from the August 16th, 2023 regular select board meeting. We do have those in our packet. I would ask at this moment, are there any additions, deletions, changes, corrections with those minutes? I do have one on August 16th. It's on page 4. It's under the section in regards to discussion and consideration of ordinance review committee requests. It's towards the bottom where the vote was taken to add education to the Conservation Commission language. And here it says that the vote was all ayes, or all, right? Yeah. But the vote was actually 3-2 vote. The ayes had it, but it was a 3-2 vote. So, added that correction. Any other? From the board? Okay. Hearing none, I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes from the August 16th, 2023 meeting with the correction.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of August 16th with the correction.
Thank you, Pat.
A second.
There's a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries. Continuing on, more minutes. To see if the board will vote to approve the minutes from the August 22nd, 2023 special select board meeting. I would ask first, is there any additions, corrections, deletions to these minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes for August 22nd.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? All right, the motion carries. on to number 7 on the agenda. Acceptance of grants, donations, reimbursements, and/or sales of materials. We have to see if the board will vote to accept $1,000, a donation from High Time Construction Company to the Bethel Regional Airport. Do I have a motion to get it on the floor?
I'll make a motion that we accept the $1,000 donation from High Time Construction.
Second.
Okay, great. Do we have any discussion on that?
Do we have, I didn't see anything in the packet about it, do we know that is it just $1,000 donation?
Yep, it's $1,000 donation to the airport.
For anything?
For the airport ones.
Are they using the airport? Just curious.
No, they were impressed with, when Randy was here and gave his talk about everything the airport was doing. They were very impressed with that and, offered to make a donation.
It's very nice of them.
Nice. Do we have any other discussion, comments, questions? All right, here none, I would ask for a vote on this motion to accept $1,000 donation from High Time Construction Company to the Bethel Regional Airport. All those in favor? Great, motion carries. Okay. We now proceed to number 8, the town manager report.
Thank you. The town office will be closed 9/21/23 out front. Election training is mandatory and has not been available since 2019. All front office staff and the finance director will be attending in case there is an absence due to illness. The code enforcement officer, the town manager, and the assessor assistant, planning assistant will be working that day. A part-time temp has been hired to assist up front with reports, payments, and counter. Ms. Hanscom has experience with grant writing and office work. She will assist until a permanent position is hired. A scoping meeting is scheduled for the ALP, that's the airport layout plan, on September 15th. I was made aware today that several planks are sticking up on the walking bridge over the Androscoggin. Public Works has been informed and will correct this before anyone is seriously injured. I have emailed the financial accountant at Main Road Water Association for the correct information to update our table for the rate schedule several times. I have not heard back. Let's see, department head evaluations are just about completed. Files are being categorized for the transition. On 9/13, there's a department head meeting at 8 a.m. The interlocal solid waste committee is meeting at 3, and the Bethel Airport Authority is meeting at 4. SCADA software for the wastewater treatment plant is being updated. That is the supervisory control and data acquisition. Before these systems were created and introduced in manufacturing, industrial, and utility operations, workers were required to manually operate and monitor this equipment. This is the monitoring and alarm system for the plant. The board chair has asked that I inform the board that she is researching board trainings and developmental opportunities. There was several positive press releases lately. A recent one was provided to you. That was made by Senators Collins, Golden, and King's offices when they announced that the U.S. Department of Agriculture awarded a total of $3,495,000 to the towns of Bethel and Milo for wastewater treatment and sewer facility upgrades, with Bethel receiving a $1,200,000 grant and a $2,200,000 loan, and Milo received a $95,000 grant. The winter sand bid is due September 8th at 3 p.m. and the board will make a decision on the 20th. I've emailed several invitations to bids. The taxes were committed on September 5th. The mill rate went up 66 cents. It is now $12.90 per thousand. Bills have been sent out. And that is it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any questions? Manager? Okay. All right, thank you.
It's great news to about the positive publicity. That's good.
Yes, you guys are signing the phone calls here.
All right. board and committee reports. And this evening, we actually have a report from our Bethel Rescue Chief, David Hanscom. So we'd like to have him come forward and share with us what he has.
I'm good.
Yeah, you gotta face the camera.
So, good evening. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm David Hanscom. I'm from the Bethel Ambulance Service, and I'll try to keep this reasonable. But just as a little bit of background, I've been on the ambulance service for the last 30 years, joined in '93. Been on the board of the ambulance service for many of those years, and have seen a lot of change within our town and also within the staffing of the ambulance service. When I was first on, we had, I think, 4 different wood processing facilities within our boundaries, many of which would allow their employees to leave in order to staff the ambulance. We've seen that go away, so we're relying more on people who do this as a career. But for those who don't know, the Bethel Ambulance Service employs 0 full-time people. That includes the chief, that includes the people who work day shifts. We compensate the people who work day shifts at an hourly rate to be at the station to do tasks, chores, whatever you want to refer to them as, and to respond to calls. So while they're there during the day, they are getting paid their hourly rate. They're doing tasks as assigned and responding to calls, but none of them are getting benefits like holidays or vacation time or anything like that. These are all folks who are doing this as a second, third, fourth, or fifth job. And then at night we rely on what we would call stipended or compensated volunteers who are basically agreeing to be within a certain distance of the station and respond if there's a call, and they get $80 for the night in order to commit to that, which I think if you do the math works out to roughly $6.66, well below minimum wage. And most of these folks that are doing this are doing it because they are committed to the well-being of our town, and they love EMS, so they give us their time. So kind of the point to the backstory is it's getting harder and harder to fill those shifts. We're doing the best that we can, and to that point, pre-COVID, our average call volume sat somewhere in the 360 to 380 call per fiscal year. Since then, our call volume has increased dramatically, and the last 2 years we've had over 500 calls each of those 2 years. So, I don't really know what public perception is, but if the perception is out there of, is this service doing a good job, are they worth keeping around, I would advocate that yes they are, and we should continue to advocate for that service and keep it alive. But we need to recognize that there's challenges. We're now competing with full-time EMS services like PACE, Medcare, etc. So a person who wants to do a shift at Bethel has to decide on their day off from Medcare or PACE to give that time to Bethel, knowing that every service, or I shouldn't say every, it's a major generalization, the vast majority of services in Maine and probably nationally are seeing a shortage of staff, so people at PACE and Medcare are being given the opportunity to work their days off at time and a half, so they have to really want to come to Bethel to give us their time. So we should feel very lucky and fortunate for the staff that are doing that for us. But what that does for us is it puts us at a bit of a disadvantage, and I think we need to really keep an eye on that going forward. We need to be prepared for the conversation that may come up sooner than later of, hey, we might have to think about putting a couple of full-time positions in at the ambulance service in order to staff those shifts. We also might have to look at how we're doing our nighttime compensation. depending on how many of the old fogies like myself and Randall Ron and but because, once again, we're offering $80 a shift to come and have the opportunity to serve the town of Bethel. These people can go to other services and get paid a full-time hourly rate to do the same for another community. And it's awesome that we're still handling the vast majority of calls that come in for our service. But we should be prepared that those tough conversations are gonna come. And I would encourage you to really consider maintaining your ambulance service versus years ago we had some leadership who were very interested in what they call regionalization and bringing another service in. And my concerns with that are, one, I love the sheriff's department, friends with a lot of the deputies, nothing against them. But we've seen the experience with that in that if something happens outside of the town of Bethel and they need that deputy, they're pulling that deputy. And I can tell you already, even though we have our own ambulance service, the Paces, the Medcares, the Stonehams are already calling on us because they're overwhelmed with their calls. I've responded as far away as Peru to handle an EMS call, an emergency 911 EMS call, because Medcare had no trucks available. That doesn't happen every day. We try to keep our staff here, but it's not as easy as telling those services that we're not willing to do that, because if there's a 911 call in Bethel and our truck is out on another call, or our paramedic called out sick for the day, we need them to be willing to come to our community to do the same. The advantage to keeping your service intact is you then have more control over how often that's happening, and their primary focus is here, whereas if you're outsourcing to a Pace, a Medcare, their primary focus is where their population base is. So Norway, South Paris, or Rumford, Mexico, that's where they're going to have their truck if they have to choose where to put a truck. So you really should, in my opinion, and I'm slightly biased, keep your ambulance service intact. And just know that, yeah, that might cost you a little more money over the coming years, but in my opinion, it's well worth it. Right now, our budget is a little over the 400,000 mark, and we bring in offsetting revenue of call it 200,000. So for a couple $100,000, you're covering your service. I think the numbers are actually a little more in my favor, but to just give you an idea, our entire budget isn't the cost to the taxpayer. Half of it's covered by billings. So that's kind of my spiel on that aspect. As far as other challenges that we're facing, we have a staff of roughly 35 to 40 people at any given time. All of those people have to meet Bureau of Labor standards. All of those people have to meet Maine EMS standards. So administrating that system is cumbersome, and I'm happy to do it. I've been doing this for 30 years, happy to do it. But for people who are like, what the heck does the chief of the ambulance service do? Is he really worth the stipend that he gets every year? Know that there's a ton of work. Like, I don't know if there's any other department in town that has 40 people working under them. So happy to do it. I'm not asking for any additional compensation. I'm asking for the education of the people here and people watching from home to understand that there's a lot that goes into this. And I think you should feel pretty lucky that you have the service that you have, with the staffing that you have, with what I would consider, and you see it differently, but the number of complaints that we have against the service. So just know that there's a lot going on in the background, and I'm willing to talk to anybody about it at any time. Happy to continue the education process. Additionally, just as like from the healthcare field in general, COVID drove a lot of people out for various reasons. They didn't want to get sick, they didn't want to get the forced immunizations that the state put in place. So while we're seeing call volume go up, we're seeing the number of people willing to do this work go down. So that's another strain on our system. As far as coverage area, for anybody that doesn't know, our primary is obviously Bethel, but we also cover Gilead, Bachelor's Grant, Mason Township, half of Albany, Riley, Grafton, and then Upton is kind of an interesting situation, but if Carroll, New Hampshire doesn't have a truck, then we're the primary coverage for the Route 26 corridor in Upton. So our primary area is fairly large, and then in addition to getting called at other spots. So, with all that said, this is going to be kind of a little pitchy, and I apologize, it's supposed to be a report, but a couple of years ago, we came before the then sitting people and asked for consideration for facilities improvement. The town owns a lot that would be great for this. Tried to advocate for the use of the Ethel Bisbee lot, seen a little bit of resistance from that. If it's Ethel Bisbee, great. If it's not Ethel Bisbee, fine. Know that at some point you are probably going to need to consider different facilities for all the reasons that were outlined previously to the board. But I would ask you, please, and I know I've said this before, please don't just give away the Ethel Bisbee lot. Like, we've sold land as a town at pennies on what we should have sold it for to other entities, and then watch them turn around and do as they wished with it. You will not find another 1 3/4 acres so centrally located to your town. So whatever you do with it, like, keep it town of Bethel. You're not going to get it back, I promise you. Alright, so done with pitchy. So Dave, you sound grim, you sound like things are bad. On the flip side of this, while all this is going on, a year or two ago, we got approval from the then sitting board for a juniors program. Happy to say we've brought our first junior up through to the point that she is now a functioning adult. Dare I say that about an 18-year-old, but an adult on our service. And she's filling a ton of shifts. She's doing a great job. We've got 2 additional juniors currently on the service, both from Gould Academy, interestingly. And one of them has completed their EMT class and is just waiting for the opportunity to go for her EMT license. The other is actively seeking a class, just waiting for the right opportunity to come up. And the cool thing about this is, and here's the next pitch, the state of Maine is currently trying to create an Explorers program. An Explorers program is basically an extended job shadow, I guess I would explain it that way, where they're not committing to a full-fledged juniors program, but they're having the opportunity to come in and see what Bethel Rescue is all about. And not just the functions of our station, but have them go sit with dispatch for a couple of hours. Have them go chat with the hospital staff to learn what happens there, so that they get the full picture. And they're better able at a young age to decide, is this something for me or is this not something for me? And the state selected 5 sites out of the whole state of Maine. I don't know how many EMS services there are in Maine, but Bethel's been selected to be one of those sites if we can get the buy-in of the Board of Selectmen to give us the go-ahead on that. This would allow people 16 to 24, and I'm envisioning this being more like 16 to 18, but young people to come and do a program with us. And if they complete certain tasks, from what I understand, and I only know this much about this portion of it, if they complete a certain tasks, they're then eligible for grant money of $500 through the Explorers program through MJA, or however, whatever their initials are. So I would strongly encourage you to give us the go-ahead on this. School is ready to go, we're ready to go, dispatch is ready to go. Like, we need a head nod from you to allow the town to do it. We looked into insurance, it sounds like that's not going to be a deal breaker, they'd already be covered. under certain insurance, and if you wanted the comfort of being able to sleep at night for like $3 a person, we could add additional volunteer insurance to them, just as a safety net. But so the encouraging news is, as I just kind of outlined, we have a whole bunch of young people who are interested. We've decreased out the mean age of upper rescue probably, I don't even know how significantly, but hugely. In addition to the juniors that I've mentioned, we've got 3 or 4 people that are in the 18 to 22 age range. So we have an opportunity to drive the service in a really good direction right now, but we need to show them as a town and as the leadership of the town that we're going to support them. We're not going to sell them down the river to the next best thing and have a service coming from 30 miles away to cover our town. Like, we need to take steps to show them that we are serious about supporting our ambulance service. And I think that's kind of the gist of what I got. I'm happy to answer any questions. I apologize for the length, but I think it was important time spent to kind of let you guys know what's up.
Any questions?
Jake, do you have a proposal for that program?
So my proposal to you would be, and it's totally off the cuff, that you would simply motion and vote in support of allowing the Bethel Ambulance Service to incorporate the Maine EMS Explorers program, because if they can do the Explorers program, we can do that on a voluntary basis, and then if they get serious and they decide they want to do it, they can continue on into the juniors program, which allows us to offer them a little bit of compensation when they go on calls and to go take an EMT class and stuff like that.
Is there a deadline for that?
So, I wouldn't be able to give you an exact date, however, this is all happening very fast. They're hoping to, we've already met once as the group of 5 services that the state is allowing to do this, with no commitment from us, just, hey, this is what it's about, and they're hoping to have us reach out to local schools or any other place that we can drum up young people that might be interested over the next month, so that in October we can do formal training through Maine EMS for both the students that are going to participate and for the people within our service that will act as mentors. They want to have that formal training so that we know how to interact with young people. So the hope would be that you would give us a head nod fairly soon so that we could start finding out what students are interested and start planning for the training in October to hopefully have things in place by November.
Thank you, it sounds like an agenda item for the next meeting.
Right, yeah, I think it would be good if we could get some sort of a write-up or, just a general
I can send
description
you
of what we
anything.
can vote
I can
on.
bullet point it. I can send you the 30-page document from Maine EMS, whatever you want.
Email it to me now.
Okay.
Thank you. Deputy Grundy, did you have anything you wanted to add tonight?
Well, Mr. Hanscom, not only are we getting old, but it's starting to show.
Oh, Jesus.
We're getting slower. The assistant deputy chief and I have watched you go through the ringer on a multitude of items. And I've had the opportunity of spending 20 years with you, 19 of those on the board. Some good, some bad, but always in the best interest of the town of Bethel and the citizens that we provide. So as a token of our appreciation, sir, hey, it's upside down. Imagine that. Kind of like Dave and I, a little upside down, a little backwards, but we get it done. Thank you.
Can you read it, please?
No.
I'm gonna make you read it, because you gotta choke, and I'm gonna enjoy it.
You don't have to read when you're in the EMS, you just have to. Alright, so this says presented to David T. Hanscom with great honor and recognition for your 30 years of passion, loyalty, and dedicated service to the community and the rescue service. 2023.
Aww.
Now, if I may, I just want to ask the town manager a question. Was the whole presentation to the board a way to get me here?
That's a negative.
You can ask your wife later. I can answer that question. No, actually, it was important to me that she spoke to the board.
And we appreciate that. Thank you for your report. It's good information to have, and if we can do a little extra, that's all better. Thank you for your service.
Any other questions?
We have one from the public. If you take one more here.
I wanna thank you for bringing up that you are taking calls for PACE and Medicare. I monitor, and I would have brought it up if you had more. When they regularly, maybe not every day, but pretty much every week, are calling and asking that Bethel Rescue, move into the area to cover for, Medicare, because everybody is overloaded. I would like to encourage this board and anyone else involved in the upcoming budget process for the next fiscal year to serious consideration to making significant changes in the operation and the funding of the ambulance service. Because it's a critical service that covers a very large area, and as he said, serves as backup to both PACE and Medicare, and they back up us. And in order to keep that relationship, and given the current age and other demographics, it's important that we increase this and become a more professional, as in paid people in-house, more representative for the work that they're doing, rather than, they do it out of love. And it needs to be more, much better funded to bring the people in and keep them.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay. We want to continue forward now. And 10, old business, seeing none, we will continue onward to 11, new business. And A is to see if the board will vote to approve the liquor license application for Philbrook Foods, DBA Watershed Wood-Fired Kitchen. You do have that application in your packet. I'd take a motion to get it on the floor.
I'll make a motion that we approve the liquor license for the Philbrook Foods, DBA Watershed Wood-Fired Kitchen.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any conversation, discussion? We do have the proprietors here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Vicki Giuliani. I've lived in the area for 30 years, and I live in Hanover. And I'm Kate Goldberg, and I've similarly lived in here 30 years.
Thank you.
I do have a question. What, I don't know if it's in your application, I didn't notice it. What are your hours gonna be?
We're working on that. We have a very experienced restaurateur that's convincing us to not do lunch. So, we're
But this
hoping,
town
I
needs-
know she's trying to convince us. So, we're gonna close probably, maybe in the winter we may close as late as 9 since we're not doing lunch. We don't know yet, to tell you the truth. It's not gonna be any later than 9 though. That's really pushing it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
You should reconsider lunch.
I know.
If we can step up.
Yeah, it's real, that is a huge challenge.
That is everyone's issue, yes.
Any other?
Just on the floor plan where it says you should put in the area for the on-premise consumption, that's gonna be the dining area
And
and
the deck.
deck.
Yeah. And that is pretty much fenced in, so the deck is.
And is the Nazarene church, close to the church, or is it?
It's on Main Street.
Is that,
Isn't
is
that
Nazarene is on Church Street, right?
I might have had it wrong.
Okay,
So
sorry. I
that's
just
what,
want-
that's what I thought was an Nazarene.
Should be Methodist, yeah.
Methodist Church,
Okay.
so you wanna correct that in the application.
Yeah.
I keep questioning
The
that,
one,
but I just, I don't know if it
the one across from the IGA is
Is
the
the
Methodist.
Methodist.
Mhm.
Yeah. You can get that corrected on the application. Any other questions? Discussion, conversation? Okay, well, yes, hearing none, let's, all those in favor? Okay, motion carries. Continuing on,
I just want to make a comment, I just want to thank you guys for all you do, it's not an easy job, and then I'm so amazed by the ambulance, that was really great, and I'm gonna sneak out.
You
But
have to
thank
sign, stay here.
Okay.
yeah, no, thank you for that.
We're at 6:57.
Yep, and we'll just see if we can get this one in, is new business 11B, to see if the board will vote to approve the builder's application for Philbrook Foods, DBA, watershed, wood fire kitchen, and you have that application as well.
I'll make a motion that we approve the victualler's license application for the Philbrook Foods.
second.
Okay, questions, discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor? All right, none opposed, the motion carries. So, we will, take a, I'm sorry? Yeah, we do, we have the rest of the agenda too.
We can't go into the next one.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, that's Randy. Who's the MDOT
Marty,
presentation?
Marty and I probably can do it in 30 seconds or less if you'd like.
Oh,
I'm
really?
joking, no.
No, I didn't think so. We do have the slides, but if we could ask you for your patience, we really appreciate it.
Sure.
We do appreciate you coming here to present this as well.
Sure, thank you.
So at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to enter into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056A to discuss a personnel matter.
Make a motion, we go into executive session.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Okay, motion carries, and opposed. Okay. Maybe you want to turn the air conditioner back on.
It's gonna cost you $1,000, I told you. It's coming out of your budget. Our budget. Oh, let's do both sides. Let's do it between.
Resolve all the rules.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're out of executive session at 7:33, and there is no action coming out of that executive session. We will continue on with the regular business on the agenda, and we broke at 11C to hear from Matthew Drost, I'm sorry if I mispronounced it.
That's perfect.
A regional transportation planner for Maine DOT. Thank you very much, and we do have the slides in our packet.
Awesome. Yeah, for everybody else, I think it was also obviously published online, but for everybody else that's here,
This is a pretty comprehensive community-based initiatives presentation. I'm only going to focus on a couple components of it. The rest is for reference at any other time. Just a quick highlight here. I'm just going to go right directly to the slides that pertain. And essentially, some background here. I had reached out to Natalie actually you and I ran into each other at a training a few months ago, and then reached back out over the end of the summer, middle of the summer, to discuss opportunities that Bethel might like to understand better or approach from the transportation systems, state transportation systems in the greater Bethel area. We have, W.H.A.T offers a couple of different partnership initiatives in our community-based initiative program that are available to Bethel to understand different challenges. The town already has a beautiful Main Street and downtown area here that I know there's obviously been some investment in, and it continues to be a great downtown with economic opportunity and things like that. And the small project at the railroad tracks is sort of on one end of it and all the way up through. But curious about whether or not there were complementary items that could be approached, whether those are sidewalk improvements, crossing improvements, other facilities along Main Street here. And actually, Natalie mentioned a unique challenge with the Parkway, is that stated correctly? That the Parkway holds quite a bit of traffic, particularly in some of the winter months, and that there may be a mobility, an interest in learning more about the mobility of the way Route 2 functions with 26th and the Parkway and all the other components. So, here to discuss briefly the two partnership initiatives this might apply to. The planning partnership initiative is really the core of either of the options, and it's a locally initiated project, so this is very much locally driven. I'm only here to present these ideas. I'm not here to sell any particular program or offer you anything. The request to even engage on one of these planning partnership initiatives comes directly from the community. And the process throughout, including the public participation, the selection of a consultant, is locally driven. The point here is that Maine DOT will cost share with some of these elements, and also provide some support to the consultant selection and throughout the study process. This is the avenue you go. I'm going to stop here and also introduce Marty Rooney, who's also here from Maine DOT, and Marty's very, very experienced in these planning partnerships and now our village partnerships as well. So I invite him to chime in at any point if there's something to add to a particular thing I'm saying, and help me answer some questions if you have any. Real basically, the process for a planning partnership initiative first starts with the community's identification of something they'd like the transportation system element they'd like to understand better. Let's use the Parkway as an example. If there's a significant amount of traffic on 26th and that intersection is becoming congested at any point, whether that's not necessarily for a one-off event, but throughout an entire season, and it's not functioning at the capacity that the town would desire, or traffic isn't ending up here on Main Street versus another avenue, and you want to find ways, whether that's anything from wayfinding, signage, to other elements. If you want to understand that better, the community would initiate this process with Maine DOT to select a planning consultant, usually an engineer with some planning elements to guide a public participation process, and ultimately end up with some recommendations for the community to consider how to improve your transportation systems. Won't get too far into the weeds here unless there are specific questions. The funding is capped at about $75,000 per project. Maine DOT can assist the community in drafting the scope of work in RFP, but also the estimate that goes along with that, so we can understand better what the cost for the specific needs are. That's only a benchmark. The planning partnership initiative is a component of the village partnership initiative, which is highlighted here, and is really a relatively new program in 2022 for Maine DOT to highlight some of Maine's villages. The examples of the communities that have had a successful village level partnership, where we're doing traffic calming elements, slowing traffic to invite people to spend time in downtowns and villages and create other economic development opportunities,
are Belgrade, Hollowell, Algonquin, and similar communities. I think there are a few others throughout the state. And those can be fairly large investments, obviously, into the $5 to $25 million. The village partnership is really geared at taking advantage of the current federal funds that are available for doing this type of improvement work, this infrastructure improvement. The bipartisan infrastructure law created an additional 125 programs with $1.5 trillion in investment across all kinds of programs, most of them discretionary. Maine DOT is lucky enough, I should say the state of Maine is lucky enough to have a great delegation and be in a position to compete very competitively for federal discretionary funds. So ultimately these village partnerships and sort of the second half of the implementation of the study or what you want to see for your transportation system might largely focus on using federal funds at a much higher match than what the state could provide for any particular project, or the town certainly would need to raise to complete the project on their own. The village partnership, I'll end here and take some questions, has two separate levels. I think really the planning and the feasibility level was really focused on the large transformative VPI, talking some once in a generation type changes to the fabric of a community. But additionally, similar, I think that it's not the same program, but a good example is the sidewalk project over the railroad crossing here is the level of a spot improvement VPI, where if you identify some smaller projects, Maine DOT can cost share those, and those are town driven, but those are pretty small scale. So we can save that, and if there are any specific examples, we can discuss them. But those are the two basic programs and sort of what that process might look like, and what it would approach. Marty, please share any other thoughts or.
No, I think Matt did a great job. I realize this is a lot to take in, particularly this late in the evening. Just the cliff notes are, nothing has to be decided today, but DOT and leadership at DOT, Maine DOT's commissioner, we want to work if there's locally driven problems, whether it's like you have an intersection, or you have what you feel is a safety issue, or you get a lot of complaints on the state transportation system, and you just want us to look at solutions. If you want to look at connectivity from where there's sidewalks, where there's gaps, we can help. You think it's great. I mean, I'm a patron and a visitor to this area in the winter quite often. It's great to see. I've seen a lot of changes in the restaurant. It's great to see a new one coming in. But some of the land use, transportation pieces, is development occurring where Bethel wants it to happen? Is there a role for transportation in that? Any transportation issues or concerns, you want to direct staff or you want us to come back or provide examples, we can we feel we can work with you to right size whether a study or solution to discuss local needs further.
With that, any questions from either anyone in the room actually, but anyone up front, specific to what the process may look like, what?
Oh, sorry. Did you work with Woodstock on there?
Yes. Okay. So I should say we're working with Woodstock currently. The project that just recently is sort of finishing up now, the Route 26 is pretty strictly a maintenance and operations highway paving job, highway improvement paving job, but we are currently working with Woodstock to add some of these same village placemaking elements, sort of adding some of the village feel, some of the smaller items. So that's currently ongoing. Yeah. We're also working with the town of Norway currently. They're nearing the mid to end of their planning phase, after having some public engagement and having some engineering recommendations for alternatives come forward. Those may be implemented in the coming years as well.
What's the life of these initiatives? Is there a certain time of year, or is it only available for the next 2 years?
So there is no deadline on an annual basis for these programs. Maine DOT's 3-year work plan So for 23, 24, 25 is allocated funds to support these programs. It is an open enrollment period throughout the year. Any request from the board or the manager can initiate that. I will say though, that largely the Village Partnership Initiative is aimed at capitalizing on those federal funds, which are available through FY '26, and it's not a guarantee beyond that. So while there'll be many federal programs that will continue to exist, we just aren't sure exactly what those are, and very much the BIL, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, IIJA, was focused on a 5-year period, which we're about 2 out of 5 years still way through, almost halfway through now, so.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Open it up to the public. You all have any questions? Great. You'd still be available if we have questions afterwards.
Absolutely, yes,
Okay.
yeah, certainly. Not going anywhere, we can start to frame out what particular problem, if one is brought forward by the town, we can start to kind of help understand what that might look like in the whole process, to answer specific questions, or just general questions about the programs anytime.
Okay, thank you. And I see
Do you
that.
have a phone number that we can call you?
So in the slideshow, I think actually includes all 3 planners' contact information, and I'm your Region 3 planner, so that's right there in the.
I know the board chair had a lot of things that she wanted to touch base with you on, so when she
Okay.
gets back, I'm sure that she will be reaching out as well.
Sure.
And I know the news open for another 15 minutes. So.
Terrific, great.
You don't have to do that. Well, thank you very much for taking the time
Thank
to
you.
come and
Yep.
share this with us,
Sure, of course.
and to be available if you have any further questions.
Yeah,
Thank you very
at
much.
any time.
Mhm.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Continuing on, we have 11D. To see if the board will vote to appoint Bill Allen to the appeals board. Such a motion to put on the floor.
I'll make the motion to appoint Bill Allen to the appeals board.
A second.
Okay, any discussion? We do have this application in front of us. And I don't see him in the audience.
He's out of town right now.
Thank you. Just a quick question on the term. When does this term end? It's filling a vacancy. Do you recall when it's?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. We can keep continuing. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. We'll take Jessica's information when she comes back. I don't think that prevents us from voting. All those in favor? Okay, motion passes.
It actually would end in December.
23. Thank you. All right. Continuing on, 11E, discussion and consideration of an agreement between the towns of Bethel and Rumford and Mr. Nathan White. And I don't see Nate in the audience. Maybe Natalie can share just a little bit.
Something's here as well, and I'd like to take one and pass it
Okay.
on with me there. So, Scott, do you wanna start?
Intervale Road, just the Rumford line. We currently share a turnaround with the town of Rumford. SAD 44 uses it for their bus. Snowplow turnaround for us. I don't dare say how many years ago, there ended up being some debris dumped on the site. The landowner requested like we clean it up. At one point there got to be enough debris that he ended up rocking off the area and said that if the towns weren't willing to do something, then he was, enough of the debris being dumped on his land. Rumford and us have worked together. We've cleaned up the site and trying to stay in the best graces of Mr. White. He's agreed if we continue to kind of police the site, he would allow us to continue to use it as a turnaround for our snowplows. Rumford took all the debris from this time. We hauled 44 tires off. There was a shed dumped there, parts of the shed, and like a load of shingles, and then some trash. We cleaned up what we could. he would just like something in writing stating that in the future that the town would just continue to,
Have we taken any preventive measures like cameras or anything out there?
town of Rumford put up a sign, dumping would result in a fine. Let's say, right now, there are large rocks placed to kind of block the, we still have room to turn around, but what stemmed the whole conversation was Rumford wanted to move the rocks back for the upcoming winter season, just to create more room, which stimulated the conversation about, Mr. White's been trying to get something done for a few years now. It's been kind of like a verbal agreement, but he's just asking, management moves on, then if we just put something in writing stating that the town.
So my question is are we doing anything to keep people from dumping stuff there? Like cameras, and we haven't done cameras, maybe we can, like we do at the dump site, at our transfer station, we have cameras out.
Yeah, I have to say that the debris that's there came before the placement of the large rocks. Nothing has been like recent, since the rocks went up to keep access from getting to the bank in the back, that nothing.
So you're saying that the trash problem has been taken care of, the stuff being dumped there, and so he wants us to do what, to agree to?
Yeah, let's.
Just to continue to keep cleaning that site if needed, in order to use it as a.
So we're gonna come up with an agreement that if trash is dumped there, we're gonna get it out of there.
In
exchange for using
Exchange
his
for-
property for turnaround.
He just wants it right.
Yeah, it sounds, for me, it sounds in principle, it makes sense as long as either party can get out of it at any time. And I would ask if you and Mr. White could work with the town manager to draft a memorandum of understanding.
So, my request is that you allow me to draft something to then have it vetted through the attorney, and then have the board and Mr. White sign it.
Yeah, I'd like to have it come back to us, just to see what it says. Yeah.
Rumford Public Works is all in agreement too, they're willing to, I mean, they send trucks and everything else, it's a collaborative effort to clean it up. So they haul everything.
How far are they gonna move the rocks?
Basically, what we wanna do is roll the rocks back a few feet for winter time and then pull them back in the spring. Just to try to prevent, we need to maintain, we moved the rocks on him a couple of times. School bus was having trouble for a while, we needed to create more room, so we created more room for the school bus.
Sounds reasonable to me.
So I guess I'd make a motion,
As hard as it is to keep turnarounds, we really need to try to ensure that we can.
to have a memorandum of understanding drafted, with the public works director, work with the town manager and Mr. White, and have it reviewed by the attorney to have a draft before us when that's completed.
Is it gonna be a memorandum, or is it gonna be a contract, or what is the?
Probably an agreement, so I
Just an
can't enter
agreement.
into an agreement.
Right. Agreement of understanding.
Yeah, just something more than just a verbal hand and a handshake saying, well,
Makes sense.
Thank you.
So there's a motion on the floor.
I like that.
Well, I moved it.
Okay, so then I second it?
Sure. Right. So in a second, is there any further discussion on it? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you.
thank you.
Continuing on, 11F, discussion and consideration on amendments to ordinances 5-59 Conservation Commission and 136-5 signs. You have those drafts in your packet. So we have discussion and consideration.
So these were ones that the board had discussed before and asked to be sent to the ORC. The ORC has worked on them and is now sending them back to the board.
And so the only thing that changed on the sign was the addition at the end, the Q?
No. Sorry.
So
Oh.
on the signs, G changed
Oh, yeah.
and so the word judgment was added, and on A, the S was added to polls. And then Q was added, yes.
Do you have the forms that go along with this? ORC forms? That's, would be our first attempt. No, that's all right, that's all right. We can do it in
That is
hindsight.
in my bag.
We can do it in hindsight. Just to keep what the progress is.
So there was a problem with private signs going on, the corner of Main Street and McKenna, is that?
Yes, there was a request because it was disrespectful, they said, for signs to be leaning against the Veterans Memorial.
So is this more like on the fencing or in the memorial, or is this like on the, right away?
It was actually leaning on the memorial, but when it was discussed, it was even on the fencing of the memorial park.
Thanks, Jim.
The lawyer added, we had it, otherwise ending it, the sentence ending at Veterans Memorial Park. Mary suggests we add including but not limited to temporary signs within the right of way.
Any questions or conversations, discussion?
So are private, I don't know what the private signs, I don't think I saw what happened, but are private signs allowed on any town property?
We have to look that up.
Oh, yes, yeah. So,
Is that a good
how
question?
it,
Like,
I understand what
yeah.
you're asking, so the way that I was told that this came about was because a business or somebody went and put stuff up and people at the Veterans Park and other people and veterans individuals, right, they went to the CEO and the rest of it came.
Do you remember what the definition is of a private sign?
Not off the top of my head. Something that we don't pay for? I don't remember.
I know there's been like, the gardens on the
Yeah,
islands,
there's-
those are town owned, right?
Well,
But there,
yeah,
people
but
put signs in the
You,
middle of
so
those.
you
and
can
those-
go into temporary signs, and there's limitations on how long a temporary sign can be up and stuff.
But it can be, temporary signs can be.
Right, I think this was more of a respect thing.
Yeah.
that-
No, I understand, but it maybe it needs to be.
Yeah, that's for me, to look at it a little bit more with regards to what private sign means.
So B says no business advertising sign, permanent or temporary, shall be erected on public property, including the road right of way. So that's advertising, it doesn't say anything about what a private sign is here. So I think what they put, I think it's, they want to reinforce that they just don't want signs on Veterans Memorial Park.
And not in the right of way either. So maybe it needs to say no sign.
I think it leaves the door open if there was a public sign for public safety, it allows that sign to go up.
Yeah.
Just that's what it sounds like to me, so I think it's okay the way it's written. It gets the point across that there's no signs.
And if we went and put no signs on road construction, couldn't put a sign.
Right.
And that was,
The intent is not to put up signs on the fence or be disrespectful to the veterans. I think it's pretty clear what the intent is. It could be very easily enforced.
Okay, does anybody else have a conversation on the sign one?
Make a motion that we accept the signed ordinance correction.
Second.
Okay, any further comments? So what happens here now is, it was given as direction to the ORC took the direction, got it back to us, and now really what we're doing is to put it on a track for public hearings and a town meeting when those become available. So just to be clear on the track, and we do have the forms that's tracking that on there. Any other chatter? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the changes as proposed for the 136-5 on the sign ordinance to continue it on its path? Oh, all those in favor?
Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, sorry. And the motion passes. Yeah, the air conditioning. And so in continuing, and that's on that same agenda item, you have the Conservation Commission. And you can see the changes here. Any discussion, any action you'd like to take?
Let's see that.
So I'm gonna have to abstain from voting on this one because I'm on the Conservation Commission.
If that's what you'd like to do as a reason, you can. It's as far as a conflict of interest, according to the law, it's not that you're not getting any money or anything like that. But I appreciate the disclosure, and I don't know how the other board members feel.
You should be able to vote.
Okay.
That's fine.
Then I'll vote.
I'll make a motion that we accept.
Oh, wait, we're still discussing, let me discuss. So the correction, the change of education, I believe
So
is
she
the,
can,
what's that?
she just started making, started
Discussion
it.
comes after the motion.
Yeah,
Oh.
but we're, on here is discussion and consideration, so we can have discussion, and then we can have a motion, we can discuss it again. You just have another question?
I have a question.
Yeah.
We're changing the education, and does that, we were talking about a scholarship thing. So this gives the ability to be able to do a scholarship. Does that, if that comes up, how does that get approved to be able to do a scholarship based on that it's for education too? I'd like that explained to me. I don't understand that process.
Do you have any
Anybody
more,
can do
Sarah?
it.
So what do you, can you ask what you're saying, what you're asking me? Like, how
So-
has it happened in the past, or?
No,
That-
that,
Cause I think this, yeah.
because adding education is the motivation for that is to be able to do a scholarship. So, and so my question about all that is we're gonna take public money and put it into a scholarship, school scholarships. A portion of it. I know we're talking small money. I'm thinking that it's public money being used for scholarships. And it's another way of taking money that, doing something that is in that scope where, as a selectman, I keep hearing that our fire department needs more money, our ambulance department needs more money, and those are services that we're really here to provide. We're not really here to provide scholarships that's not the scope of what taxpayers are looking for. So I keep going back to what we are, services that we are to provide. And I keep going back to that, and I kind of want to focus on those services that we need to provide, and it's going to get more and more expensive as we go. So that's why I bring it up. That's the reason why I bring it up.
It's gonna go in front of the, it's gonna be at a meeting anyway, you know what I mean?
So it has to be approved by the town anyway, it just doesn't,
All we're doing
This
is
is-
saying that
To
it
continue
can go
on its
on,
path,
it
to
can,
go to a town meeting, and it does need to have the notices and postings and public hearing before it goes on. So this is the next step after the first step.
so voting for this is not saying that there's gonna be a scholarship.
No,
It's just voting that this is part of their description,
right.
basically.
I think it would help, Frank, if it was, if you look at it, that it's not an education, when, the way we understood, it's not an education specifically in a direction of a scholarship. The word education was to allow various things, so they weren't limited on what they could do.
I got it, I got it.
Yeah, I mean, it can allow us to do other
Yeah, yeah.
things too.
I got it.
Okay, any more questions, discussion, or take action? I.e., is there a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the addition, correction to the Conservation Commission.
Description?
Yeah.
Thank you. And,
Can I say, I'll second it.
okay, any other questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor of sending it on its way? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, and thank you, we have
I do have a question on these are being kept in the town office? Or at
No,
least
we
a copy
really
of them
haven't gotten that far yet, we got
At
it
least a
done.
copy of them should be kept somewhere?
I think it should be kept someplace, at least the final,
Hi.
the final piece. I don't know what is stapled to that as the final one, but.
Yeah. And then with the approved for hearing dates, will be written on those as well.
Okay, we're gonna continue on. We have 11G, which is to see if the board will vote to adopt the updated general assistance ordinance and or appendices. We had public hearings earlier in the meeting. We do have in your packet, the information from the state that has the new GA maximums that begin on October 1st, 2023. I accept a motion to get it on the table for discussion.
I'll make a motion to put it on the table.
And I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Do we have questions, discussion? Okay, hearing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not quite sure what, I mean, just 'cause, again, I'm new, I'm not quite sure what, supposed to be about this information. so
Sure,
I don't know.
sure. Now you help us out a little bit, sure.
I'm just not like sure what I'm supposed to. be
Oh,
voting
okay,
on.
so,
Can you just give us a quick overview of what we would be approving?
Yeah.
right, so the general assistance ordinances, so it's this, all right, so this is the general assistance ordinance. And every year, the legislature votes, and it's actually based on your USDA parameters, and they're, structured what is acceptable as far as how much money these people make and how much it costs for a regular basket of food to cost, what that would cost. And so that changes those tables that are in your packet. So these are the tables that's defined in those, and so every year and annually, you're given these updates that then you approve. if you don't agree with those, then you can set your own maximums, and then you have to justify how you as a board or as the town came to those maximums, and then we submit those to the department, and then they say whether or not that falls within their standards. But otherwise, we adopt the maximums that they say that this is for our county, what we would follow, based on the rate of pay that we think is redundant. Does that make sense?
What was the max last year, do you know?
They're different, as far as do you need the tables of what people make
No, what was that, what did we adopt last year?
for the different tables?
There's different
okay.
amounts for each,
Okay.
yeah, I know, makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how I would, I would trust that these numbers are right for us, I don't know how.
They give them to us every year.
Yeah, I mean, so I
And
would,
we,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah, I don't know how I would question that number.
Right, unless we wanted to change it, and in the packet, from the state, they do give the results of the rubric that they have, like for Oxford County.
I didn't double check their numbers, just so, you know.
Oh, I see, okay, food and housing, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so are there any other questions? Okay. We're ready to vote then, hearing none, ready to vote, all those in favor? Right, the motion carries. I think there's something for us to sign too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff in this one.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, we're going to continue on, and we're at the warrants at this time. So,
Actually,
That is just one.
No, that didn't go through. Right?
the LSB one failed, but there was another adjustment to the agenda that I did not add. Would you consider adding that at this time, or would you prefer, and it has to be voted on before the next board meeting? So would you rather have a special board meeting to be able to review it, or would you like to consider it as a taste testing event at the Gem Museum?
What do we have to do?
I think Natalie's asking us to reconsider the vote to put it on the agenda, for discussion. And, so she's asking us to reconsider this, see if the board will vote to approve the ice rink at the.
No. It's a taste testing event
Oh.
at the Gem Museum.
Oh, this is a new one,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Jess brought this to my attention that I had omitted it, and their event is it's timely, so I either need to reschedule a meeting for tomorrow night or add it to the agenda tonight.
When did we receive this?
We received it back, right after our last meeting on the 17th. I did send it to Natalie, we discussed it, it's a one-time event, they got us the information.
It was omitted, and there was discussion about whether the board signed it, because of how the wording was. But we thought it was best to come before the board.
What are they asking from us?
For the board to approve a taste testing event at the Gem Museum on 9/27/2023 from 4 to 11. And statute says that it's approved by a municipal officer or a municipal official designated by the municipal officers of the municipality where the taste testing event would be located. So that was what it was like.
So are they doing,
I didn't know you had to do that.
are they doing a liquor license, a temporary liquor license?
Nope, it's a
Or
taste testing, it's a taste testing event.
are they using any public facilities? Is it going in the right of way, or sidewalk, or?
It's at the Gem Museum.
So it's in
Oh, the Gem Museum.
Yeah.
within the field? It sounds like it's.
Oh, that's why it's being approved. I thought it was a Gem Theater.
Yeah.
They have a license that handles all of that.
Main mineral
Got
at
it
Gem
now,
Museum.
okay.
Yeah.
So they need the
Oh.
approval, yeah. And they're gonna have a wine tasting?
No, tasting.
No,
Taste
food.
testing.
What is tasting?
It's a cocktail.
Do you
Oh,
mind?
it is?
Is it alcohol involved?
Yes.
Okay,
I
okay.
thought it was food.
Why do we have
They have
to?
already gone through the liquor renewal to the state and gotten their approval, and then they need us to.
The state said you need to go through the town, when where they had to go through the town as well.
Is this for wine tasting, did you say?
It's a liquor,
Oh, it is liquor.
because it said distillery.
The museum?
No, the people bringing it in.
It's a main licensed distillery, it's the Milne Spirit Works LLC, doing business as High Shore Distilling Company out of Portland.
I see, they're putting on an event that they're gonna have alcohol there, and they don't have a liquor license, this is to kind of
This is for.
get it approved through the states, and they're doing it legally. Okay. For some reason I'm saying liquor license, they already got.
I thought you were just saying, like tasting different, I don't know, foods or something, I was like, what?
I thought it was food.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Alright,
I.
we have to add it to the agenda.
Yeah, so I would
first.
ask at this time, if we can add this item to the agenda at this time. Motion,
Make a motion that we add it to the agenda.
it's the Gem Museums.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay,
My apologies.
yeah, all those in favor? Great, it's on the agenda now, and we have a motion to,
Is it free or is it charging for this? I'm just asking.
Probably an invite or something, I don't know.
I didn't get my invitation.
I didn't either.
so now I would ask to, add it as an item to get it on the table. Ask for a motion to approve the taste testing location for the Gem Museum.
This is
I'll make a
everything.
motion that we accept the, whatever it is.
Taste testing event at the gym.
Yes, the taste testing event application.
Thank you, we have a motion. And
I'll give it a second.
second, great, okay. Is there any further discussion or questions on the application?
That it will be inside.
I think they have to follow all the same laws and rules that we have to follow under the bar license.
Right. Hearing no more questions or discussion, all those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, now we'll go on to the warrants. And, accept a motion for the board to vote to approve accounts payable warrant 2024-08 in the amount of $208,808.92.
Make a motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. B, warrants, to see if the board will vote to approve accounts payable warrant 2024-09 in the amount of $52,265.98.
Wrong numbers.
That's the wrong amount. I have 51,265.98.
Thank you, and really need the air conditioner.
So moved.
Yep, thank you.
Second.
Yeah, I said 52 instead of 51. Thank you. Hearing no discussion on it, all those in favor? Thank you, motion carries. We go on to the third one. Let me see if I can articulate it a little bit better. To see if the board will vote to approve accounts payable warrant 2024-10 in the amount of $106,806.03.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. And last warrant for the evening is to see if the board will vote to approve accounts payable warrant 2024-11 in the amount of $443,336.11.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Hearing no discussion, all those in favor? And the motion carries. Thank you. We continue on to 13 select board items.
I had a tour of the water treatment plant, and I just wanna, like, compliment like the work that's going on with them, and like, they just did a great job. Toby spent like an hour and a half with me showing me around, and it's very impressive. And then I also went to the rec board meeting last night, and again, there's just very devoted people in this town, so just, again, so much time that people are putting into making our community really great, so just wanted to share something positive.
Yeah, thank you for those comments. And
I have a question, Scott, the property that's next to the transfer station, does the town own that? Didn't that used to be their dump site?
Landfill, correct, yes.
And can that be used or not?
No.
No. Okay.
Right, anybody have any other? I would just ditto, I would ditto Sarah, tomorrow morning I have a tour of the Gary House, by Amy Scott, so
Oh, yeah.
I'm kinda looking forward to that too. Alright. Okay, hearing no more items, we'll go on to item, 14, which is to see if the board will vote to enter executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA 405-6A to discuss a personnel matter.
Make a motion, go into executive.
I'll second it.
Thank you, all those in favor? Motion carries. We're going to executive session at 8:20.